Playing piano, and Albanians and Tiranas were listening music on the street, Rruga Dibras, where it is today. That house was located in Rruga Dibras in Tirana. But then he was under severe pressure of the Ottomans, and he decided to go to Elbasan. Elbasan was a more mixed community with Albanian Muslims with Albanian Orthodox, Catholic, and some Jews. So he went there, and it was also, they were in that time opening the school, Normalia Elbasanit, which is very well known. He opened the school there, but it was closed very shortly after it was opened because the Turks said that we need it for storage for the powder, for the military stuff. Then he was in turn taken forcibly to the mountains of Elbasan, then to Manastir for some times. While he was in Manastir, he was allowed to go to Constantinople, to Istanbul, and he met the American ambassador there. When he entered the room, the ambassador said that, Mr. Erickson, sit down, because a day before, Rifat Pasha, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Ottoman Empire, was sitting there, and I asked him, why you are so bad with that good gentleman, Erickson, who used to be a very nice man, very peaceful. And the ambassador, and Rifat Pasha said to him, well, Mr. Ambassador, it is much better if I do impose to you this question. What the hell do you have with that Albanian? Because he went to the United States, he got the United States citizenship and a passport, and he came here to trouble the Ottoman Empire. He's not American, he's an Albanian, because there is no way that an American who comes only 3 years ago here, speaks Albanian, gets around with Albanians, invites Albanians of different religion communities, he gets along with them. So that is not an American, it's an Albanian. So since then, he was considered like an Albanian. Then in 1912, during the time in Albania, 2 kids were born. The mother of these 2 gentlemen, Grace Elizabeth Johnson Erickson, who fortunately is still alive in Boston. She is 102 years old, and I'm sure that she was born in 19th of August 1911. So she is alive, and she is in Boston, and God bless her. It's really remarkable that she is. While Serbs invaded Albania up to Durrës and Elbasan, so on the way back he was arrested by Serbs in Durrës, and they wanted to deport him right away because they said that you are an enemy of Serbia and a very close friend of Albania, so you don't have a place here in this country. But he said, my family is in Elbasan. So he went in Elbasan, and he took the family in that situation, and he left Albania in December 1912. Not forever. In 1913, from London, in summer of 1913, he got a train from Victoria Station, where I do live right now, close to the station, and he came to Albania again via Montenegro, and he recorded everything that was happening during the First Balkan War, all the atrocities committed against Albanians, and he wrote several articles at the Economist in London, which are recorded at the British Library right now, and I have had the chance to see these original newspapers and put in the book. The history of Erickson goes on and on and on, and I don't want to keep this a respectable and honorable audience telling stories like this, but I would like to stick to 3 very important moments. One is that when he was working for the International Red Cross in south of Italy, and Italy in that time, at the end of the First World War, was in a very, very severe situation. It was a state of famine. People didn't have anything to eat, so the International Red Cross was helping people in that situation. He received a message from Vepra, and this is why I really adore what this organization has done. Asking him to join the Albanian delegation at the peace conference in Paris in 1919. He quitted everything, although he was warned by his supervisors that if you get involved in politics, you'll lose the job. He said that I'll quit everything and work for Albania because I have dedicated my life already. Thank you. So he went to Paris, joining the Albanian delegation, official Albanian delegation. There were 6 Albanian delegations there, unfortunately fighting against each other more than fighting for Albania, but this delegation was officially recognized, led by Turkan Pasha, who was a sort of intellectual, very well educated in Istanbul, Lef Nosi, someone who was executed by Enver Hoxha, and the one who has had the original paper of the Declaration of Albanian Independence, Michael Turtuli, another Albanian intellectual, and Imzot Bumci. So this was the Albanian delegation that was joined by Charles Telford Erickson. Unfortunately, none of them had any idea of how could they get an access to the conference. But Charles Telford Erickson, who was educated at Yale University, knew how to do that. He did have some work relations, with the wife of Woodrow Wilson, who was heading the American delegation there. So for 15 days, he managed to send one letter to President Wilson and put the letter about Albania on the top of the pile of papers, which were more than 1,000 every day. So President Wilson was pounded with these letters every day until he declared at the France press one day that simply because the United States hasn't been part of the secret treaties taken by the main powers of Europe, that doesn't mean that we are not aware of those secret treaties. Then we do not recognize any secret treaty which divides countries like Albania. That was the best news, and Erickson has mentioned it several times in his life, that was the best thing that I have ever heard of my years in my life. So now the story of Woodrow Wilson and Paris Peace Conference is very well known, but the bottom line is that that conference was the one which actually protected Albania not being disrupted and divided in favor of Montenegro, Serbia, Greece, and Italy. After the peace conference, he came to Albania, and he worked very hard to open schools, and he opened 3 schools in Albania. One of them is still in operation in Kavaja, and many of us know that the agricultural school of Kavaja was sort of American school, but if you had the chance to ask, well, everybody tells you that, oh, yes, it is the school that was established by Harry Fools. Because Harry Fools was another American who established a technical school in Tirana. But that's not true. This school was established by Charles Telford Erickson. And Donald is witness here that in November 2012, thanks to Albanians who had a very good will to do that, they have named the school now Shkolla Bujësore Charles Telford Erickson. So the school... Then he decided to do something for Albania. He realized that Albania was rich in oil. Incredible. In that time, he got a stick, and Sinclair, which is one of the largest American oil companies in the world, sent there 2 engineers, and they were walking on foot from Elbasani, Dumrea, to Malakasta and Tepelena, because they saw some signs of oil in the water. So it was like an engineer, but they didn't have any instrument. Just, seeing some, water which was contaminated or was with spots of the oil. And he said that there is oil there. And he wanted to bring this company to Albania. But since the Italians were very, very aggressive at that time in Albania, he failed. Then he joined the American embassy in 1923 when the Albanian legation was opened first. He was for 1 year an American diplomat. Then in 1926, he received a 300 dönüm, I don't know how I would say it in English, land for a school, and he opened this school. In 1931, he was given an order of Skanderbeg by King Zog, and in 1937 he was invited to participate to the 25th anniversary of the Albanian independence, which was very well celebrated at that time. He left Albania, went to Australia, to New Zealand, United States. Everywhere where he went, he got the microphone to different radio, and he was giving the history of Albania, Besa, how old is Albania, and how nice the Albanian people are, and what is the Albanian history. In 1945, and this is the second part of his activity, he was also commissioned again by Vepra to participate to the United Nations Charter Conference in San Francisco, where the Albanian government was not allowed to participate, and Albania was not recognized at that time by the United States because it was considered like a country which didn't perform elections. And of course, the Eastern Bloc and Stalin and Russia, etc. In that time, he wrote letters to Harry Truman, which are beautiful letters, and he got credit from Vepra for what he has done there. From that time until 1963, he wrote to every American president, to every American Secretary of State, letters about Albania. And unfortunately, every time he received almost the same answer. Dear Mr. Erickson, we very much appreciate your concerns about Albania, but unless that country takes a path of the democracy, United States are not going to recognize that country. But still, thank you very much. So he passed away in 1966. From that time, someone from the family, they have donated all the papers to Yale University Divinity Library, where the collection is now preserved.